A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 10th September 2020. I would like to start today's discussion with this interesting line that I found from a book called The 5 a.m. Club. You can't win a game you don't play. If you want to excel in any field, let's say if you want to be a good runner, then you have to run. You have to do running practice on regular basis. If you want to be a good reader, then you have to read books or you have to read things. If you want to crack any particular exam, then you have to prepare for that exam. So you can't win a game you don't play. And the more you delay, the far you are going to be. I'm talking about doing it tomorrow rather than doing it today. So always make sure that today is a present that you have. Of course, we have our plans for future, but we live in moments. So if you can handle this moment, if you can give your best, then the next moment is going to be, of course, much brighter, much cheerful. Think about it. With this, dear friends, StudyIQ team has designed a smart course. This smart course is for Civil Services Examination. It covers your pre as well as mains examination. And to find out more about it, all you have to do is download our mobile application. On our table, we have 6 important articles. I have already shared the PDF of today's lecture on my Telegram channel. You can follow me on Facebook as well. The first one is about e-voting. Dear friends, remember a few days ago we have talked about e-vote or the possibility of conducting remote voting or e-voting in our country. We talked about ECI, that is Election Commission of India. We talked a little bit about, ECI sharing its expertise with so many other countries. We compared USA's. I'll give you just a small example. Like they are still today using, USA is a very advanced country, but they are using ballot papers and, environmental issues associated with using paper. There are so many companies now, they are going green. They are not printing pages. They are sending their contracts and other details via email, PDF files, rather than earlier on we used to use papers for it, isn't it? So we use a lot of trees as well as a huge amount of water to produce paper. So anyway, e-voting is greener, but there are a few risks associated with it. There are so many benefits of e-voting, but there are some challenges as well. And this article is interesting because it is talking about those challenges. Now, this topic is on our table because ECI is promoting this idea of digitizing the electoral infrastructure of our country. And one online conference was conducted. ECI, Tamil Nadu E-Governance Agency and IIT Madras took part in this online conference, and they talked about so many other things. And the main thing was using blockchain technology for remote elections. Now, I'm sure many of you are aware about blockchain technology. Blockchain is not a new thing anymore, right? It's been here for, I think it's nearly a decade now. Because it's famous for Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency. But anyway, a basic definition is a blockchain is a distributed ledger of information which is replicated across various nodes on a peer-to-peer network for the purpose of ensuring integrity as well as verifiability of data stored on the ledger. Of course, if you want to know more about blockchain, because today we are talking about e-voting, so we don't have that much time to go through what blockchain is all about, but on our platform, that is StudyIQ Education, you will find dedicated lectures on blockchain, what blockchain is, how it works, and so many other things associated with blockchain. So I have one infographic for you guys. This will help you understand how it works. So let's say if you want to conduct a transaction using blockchain. So how it works is that a user requests or you request for a transaction. Then a dedicated block will be created and it will have all the details associated with your transaction. The block is broadcasted to all the nodes of the network. So these are the nodes of a network. And once all the nodes validate the block, because this is how it works. It is more distributed ledger and it is decentralized. So once this all nodes give you green signal, then it will go ahead and the block will be added to the chain, and then the final transaction will take place. This may sound a bit lengthy, but it is not that lengthy. In fact, it saves a huge amount of time when you compare it with the normal banking transaction. People say that it is safe as well, that you cannot corrupt blockchain technology. It is decentralized, it enhances your security, it is more secure. It works on consensus. So if let's say a few nodes are not happy about it, then that transaction will be stopped. If something fishy is found, or if there is a doubt regarding a particular transaction, or if you feel like something is not right, then that can be stopped there and there, rather than allowing it to spread across the board and disturbing other things. So far we know that blockchain is good, right? It is quite robust. But there are challenges with this blockchain as well. We are going to talk about it. Now, as we all know, there are so many arguments in favor of remote voting at present. A few days ago, when we were talking about this remote voting, I told you about migrants, right? There are crores of people who have migrated from one state to another state. There are so many people, they have migrated from one district to another district. So if you want to vote, let's say, I'll give you my example very quickly, right? My voting card is in my hometown. I live in a particular city, right? So my hometown is somewhere around 35 kilometers away from the place where I'm living at present. And of course, in my hometown as well, I have my sweet little home. But the thing is, last time when, in general election, I have to travel with my family for 35 kilometers, and then we casted our vote, and then we came back. So not every one of us can do that thing, right? I was sure, and we planned this thing ahead, that we will visit this place, we will visit our hometown and cast our vote. But that is not possible for someone who is living, let's say, 100 kilometers of maybe 50 or maybe more than 50 kilometers away. So practically I can say that it's not that easy for migrant workers, and particularly for those poor people, right? They cannot afford 100, 200 rupees ticket just to deliver their vote. They are not going to do that thing, because this is how it works. We human beings, we like to do those things that are easily available, right? So if you want to read a book, let's say Atlas, right, for map, that will help you a lot. This tip will help you a lot with your preparation. So if you are not good with maps or with countries and their locations, and if you want to be good at it, then what you have to do is you have to keep Atlas book on your reading table, right? It should be accessible. If it is there in a cupboard, and if you have to stand up every time, if you want to, let's say if you're reading something and you come across a word Kenya, then if you want to know more about Kenya, if you want to locate Kenya, then if you have to stand up and then you take out the book, go through it and then put it back, that's not going to work. You have to keep it. So the more accessible the thing is, the more chances are that we will take part in it. So this is the main idea behind e-voting. Now let's talk about key issues associated with it. Senior Deputy Election Commissioner Sandeep Saxena has said that even if we create this e-voting facility or remote voting facility, electors have to physically reach a designated venue. In starting phase, right, we are not going to be, we will not see applications like mobile app that you can use your mobile and deliver your vote, because it's not that easy as well. It's not that safe, and we have to go through so many processes. Only after that we will reach a stage where hopefully we will reach a stage where we will be able to deliver this thing, no doubt, in future. But now we have to take incremental steps. Step by step we have to move ahead. So in initial stage, the chances are that you have to visit a booth, right, where you have this e-vote or remote voting facility. So that is one thing. Then when you reach that booth, the discussion says that biometric attributes of that particular electors will be taken. So they will take your fingerprint, and then they will make sure that you are the person, and then you will deliver your vote. So this is how it will work. Then there are some external challenges, right? Your system, right? Safety of your system, that is a thing. So these are the things. They are challenging. At the same time, 24/7 electricity supply, 24/7, 365-day internet connectivity. If any one of this thing fails, then this system will stop working. So you see, now you have some other challenges in executing this thing. Blockchain solutions rely heavily on the proper implementation of cryptographic protocols. So blockchain is good, but if cryptographic protocols are not followed, if they are not checked, then you can do so many bad things as well. As per one Russian media outlet, the recent elections that were conducted in Russia, this blockchain cryptographic protocols were not up to the mark, and because of that thing, there were so many parties, or when I say parties, I mean to say there were so many individuals or groups. They were able to see so many details about which particular voter, his name and things, and he or she gave his or her vote to which person. So this thing can take place as well. So that is a very serious thing, of course. Then if you have hackers, then they can clone your biometric attribute, right? They can create this, we see this thing in many films. So they can clone this thing, your biometric attribute, and based on that thing, someone else will go and deliver instead of you, that person will deliver your vote. Physical implants or software backdoors. If something is wrong with software, or maybe physical implants, like adding a chip to your device or that particular device, that can create issues as well, that can manipulate this whole outcome of election. Blocking traffic from the system, this is also possible. So as you can see here, there are so many technical challenges, but that does not mean that we should stop ourselves here and we should not move ahead. We have to, of course, explore this thing, and if we explore every single thing and then we find that this is not possible, then we should drop it. But for now, I think these are the challenges, and then we need to rope in domain experts, and we need to find some solutions for it. That's the bottom line. Moving on, but before that, please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have already subscribed, then please ask 3 more students to hit the subscribe button. Dear friends, this one is about a digital disconnect. Now, I'm sure I don't have to say this thing, that there is a big digital divide in our country. And the recent NSO survey of the full report, the name is Household Social Consumption on Education in India 2017 to June 2018. 1-year report states that, or it highlights the poor state of computer and internet access in several states. We also know that in one state, in one society, right, I'm talking about residential society. So in one building, let's say, you will have, let's say if you have 10 families, then you will find that out of this 10 families, you will have 5 families, they have their kids, they have their own smartphone, they have a computer. If they have 2 kids, they have 2 computers or 2 laptops. In the same building, you will find a family, they don't have any for their kids, maybe 1 computer in one house. So we have this sort of in that particular city itself, or in that particular area, you will find so many families, they don't have even smartphone. So there is a big digital chasm or big digital divide in our country. And we came out with this broadband policy back in 2004. It's been nearly 16 years, but still we have this big fissure. We know it very well what happened during this COVID-19 and then lockdown, and because of this thing, so many students they have lost their important months, or you can say they have lost their time because they were not able to access lectures, these online lectures, because they don't have, out of many things, 2 most important thing is net connectivity and device. You need some sort of device, mobile phone, maybe a smartphone, maybe a computer, maybe a laptop, maybe a tablet. But without a device, if you have a device and if you don't have net, that is not going to be of any use. If you have net in your area, but if you don't have any device, then again, and if you have both of these things, but if you don't have proper supply of electricity, then that is again a big challenge. See, the report says that if you see rural as well as urban, Delhi, Himachal Pradesh and Kerala, then these are the three states. Of course, Delhi is a union territory, but these three states, we have these three states in which we have 50% plus net connectivity. If you see Punjab, Haryana and Uttarakhand, they have 40% plus. Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Andhra and Karnataka, they have below 20%. And if you see rural Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, West Bengal, net connectivity is somewhere between 5% to 10%. So the answer is here, isn't it? Reliability problem is there of net as well as electricity, and power deficits again is a big challenge. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, whilst addressing the nation on Independence Day, he said that all villages would be connected to optical fiber cable in 1,000 days, and that is very ambitious, as well as I hope that we will achieve, fingers crossed, that we will achieve this target, because that will be beneficial particularly for students. But we have to also keep this thing in mind that back in 2011, National Optical Fiber Network was declared, and this policy was declared to raise administrative capacities through information infrastructure. And we know that we were not able to achieve this target on time. So for that, we need to rope in some telecom sector, right? We need to make partnership with telecom companies. And a few weeks ago, we were talking about this thing that these big companies, because many people are working from home, so what we can do is we can refurbish their desktops, and we can rope in NGOs, government support, and a little bit of CSR, that is corporate social responsibility. With all these things, we can donate these devices to schools or kids. In the same way, second-hand or refurbished smartphone as well as tablet, this market is expanding quite wildly in our country, or rapidly. So we can have so many second-hand phones. We can refurbish them, and governments can donate it to kids so that they can carry on with their studies in case if something goes wrong. And if everything is okay, let's say we find a vaccine and everything is back to normal, then as well we can use these smartphones for add-on things. People will save money. They can, kids can stay home, and rather than going to tuitions, they can stay home and study math, science, anything from teachers around the world, isn't it? So it's going to be helpful. But for doing that, what we need to do is we need to use the latest this NSO data that we have, and we have to analyze each and every district so that we know exactly what is required in a district. If electricity is the problem, we need to work on it. If net connectivity is the problem, we need to work on it. If device is an issue, then we need to do that. So we can use this data that we have. Moving on to next item, we are going to be very quick here because it's very easy to understand, and we have, I'm sure you know so many things about COVID-19 and things associated with it now. So at present, what we see is that there is a rat race going on. Every country wants, or each and every country is in a race, particularly big countries I'm talking about. They are in a race. They want to they want to be number one when it comes to finding this proper vaccine for COVID-19. And our expectations are also becoming more and more unrealistic. Business or making profit is one thing. Then there are these political dividends associated with it, like Mr. Trump wants this vaccine before 3rd November, because 3rd November is going to be election day in USA. So just imagine if USA can find one vaccine, and if it can distribute this vaccine around USA, then that will change, that will be a big boost, or it will be a very positive thing in the arsenal of Mr. Trump. ICMR of our country did the same thing. It declared that it's going to come out with this Covaxin on 15th August, but we know that it is something that we cannot rely on, because phase 3 is the most important thing. And in normal circumstances, it will take more than a year's time to, you do testing on so many people. So the bottom line is, in a nutshell, I would say that A medicine should work on a Chinese person, it should work on an Indian, or if you give it to an African person, anyone, right? Any human being, you give to that person, a normal person, and that person will, he would be able to beat coronavirus. So for that, you need to do huge amount of testing, and phase 3 is all about that. If you deliver a vaccine that is, quick, if you bypass all this phase 3 things, and if you deliver a vaccine, then that is, we don't know whether it will, how much harm it will create in after 6 months, or maybe 1 year, or maybe 2 years. So we cannot rush for it. And the good thing is that big names like AstraZeneca, as well as 8 other companies who are developing vaccine at present, they have signed a public pledge. They have said that we will not knock the doors of regulatory authority unless and until we find that the vaccine that we have, the vaccine that we are claiming, it is safe and it is okay. Once they will find that this vaccine is safe, only after that they will approach government or regulatory authorities for a green signal. So that is a very good, or a very ethical of these companies. So this is definitely we need this sort of necessary pause for sure. Then we have one interesting article about Bitcoin. This article is written by Sujata Biravan, and I have followed Sujata Madam's articles for a very long period of time. She writes about climate change. She is a scientist, and you find her articles are very interesting, informative, as well as easy to understand, yet they are very important. So this one is about cotton. Now you find this interesting fact that cotton fabric was found or used in Mohenjo-daro 3000 BCE. So we are talking about 5000 years ago. In Mohenjo-daro, people used to use cotton fabric. 7,000 years ago, that is 5000 BCE, in Mehergarh, that is at present in Pakistan, we have found cotton fabric material. Indian cotton fabrics dominated the world for a very long period of time. It was exported to countries like Greece, Rome, Persia, Egypt, Assyria, parts of Asia, and so many other places. Till 20th century, we were using this desi variety of cotton, but then in 1990s, these hybrid varieties started finding its way in our field, and then came the American variety, and then back in 2002, so we are talking about 2 decades ago, BT cotton was introduced in our country. Now hybrid varieties, they cannot resist local pests. So what you need to do is you need to use more fertilizers and pesticides. That means more input cost, more expenses for the farmer, and eventually it is going to impact your soil quality. It will promote soil pollution. These chemicals can find its way to groundwater, and then it can pollute our groundwater as well as our rivers and other sources. So far, I'm sure you have read or heard about this thing that BT is a sort of panacea, like it is like it is one-touch solution for cotton, that BT is the best, and it has helped us increase our yield, and it has created huge amount of profit for our farmers. Generally, these are the things that we hear about BT. But a thorough research was conducted by K.R. Kranthi and Glenn Davis Stone. They published their research in this Nature's Plant Journal, and they studied 20 years time of BT in our country. And they found that BT acreage was only 3.4% of the total cotton area in 2003, not sufficient to credit it for 61% increase in yield in 2003 and 2004. So in 2003-4, the yield was up by 61%, but that is not because of BT. Normally people say that after the introduction of BT there was 61% increase, but the reality is that BT acreage was just a 3.4%. You see here there is a jump of 90% compared to 2002 level, but BT acreage coverage is just 15.7%. There are so many success stories from Gujarat coming out, but if you go through the data, particularly the data that is presented by these 2 researchers, then we find that back in 2003, BT was, sowed in just 5% of Gujarat's land, and there was a increase in yield or surge in yield by 138%. The main reason is irrigation facility in Gujarat and use of fertilizers. The same thing applies to Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan as well. In 2018, farmers were spending an average of $23.58 per hectare on insecticide. So you can see here, if you go through the whole report, you find that incrementally we see rise of input cost, and it has clocked about $23.58 per hectare. This is very expensive for farmer. And there are so many good things about BT, but most of them are when you find them or when you do a bit of research in the lab environment. But in real world, there are so many challenges, right? Different kinds of pests, local soil, irrigation condition, your weather or climate, and there are so many other things. So the best thing that we can do is, as per Sujata ma'am, she is suggesting that the cost of ignoring desi variety for decades has been high for India. We need to resurrect, or we need to reintroduce desi variety, but this is only possible with government support and creating awareness in farmers community. Moving on to rethinking the defense doctrine. This is about India-China clash, and this article is saying that what we were doing why we were not able to detect this move of China coming here into our territory and intruding our territory. So one thing can be that we have failed in intelligence gathering or warning intelligence system. Our warning intelligence system has failed, or there could be this possibility as well that intelligence department could have informed our policymakers as well as military personnel, but they have failed to take any action or come to a decision. Now, if China is a country, if it will find a gray area, then China will take it over. And once it is there, or any country is there, then it becomes very difficult for us to, or any country to, get rid of that particular intruder. So we have two awful choices. One is to go ahead with a war. The second one is to do nothing about it and accept a new status quo. Of course, politics, and there are so many things associated with it at present that any government would not risk about even thinking of a status quo, right, or a new status quo. So the only solution is, negotiations and the things that are going on. We need to continue that, but we need to learn a big lesson from this thing. The things that we have been doing so far, like waiting for an enemy to come here and then create problem and then we take action. Rather than that, we have to react quickly, collect information in advance, plan ahead, and always be prepared, as well as staying vigilant. And if necessary, then conducting a sort of a preemptive strike as well. I'll give you an example of Israel, right? Israel is a country that believes that attack is the best defense. If someone is even thinking or even trying to or planning to conduct an attack on your country, then attack that planners so that there is no attack at all. I hope you know what I mean, right? Moving on to next item, redefining a farmer. Again, we are going to be a bit quick here. It's going to be easy for you to understand, because the problem in our country is when I say define farmer, then you will say that is a very silly question. We all know who farmer is. But in reality, there are a few things that we need to keep in mind when we talk about defining a farmer or redefining a farmer. Because there are so many support systems, PM Kisan credit cards, and there are other benefits that are provided by the government of India or state government to farmers. But the problem is that not every farmer gets his or her share. Recently, there was this 110 crore scam in news. It is associated with PM Kisan scheme. We found that so many non-farmers, they used to get this money, and all these things are going on. But the problem is definition. Right, there is no one definition. If you go in another state, you will find that things are a bit different. The Model Agriculture Land Leasing Act 2018 was introduced to formalize land leasing based on the recommendation of an expert panel appointed by Niti Aayog. Unfortunately, we have only few states they have adopted this thing. Apart from that, no state has extended the scope of Land Leasing Act. What happens is, I'll give you one example. Let's say This is a piece of land. You have Mr. X, right? So Mr. X is the owner of this land, but Mr. X is interested not in agriculture, he is interested in his factory, manufacturing. So what Mr. X will do, he will find Mr. Y, who is expert in agriculture. When I say expert, I mean to say that he is a farmer. He knows how to do farming. So Mr. X will ask Mr. Y to look after his land, to do whatever he likes to do with it, and at the end of the year, whatever he can produce, 50% will be given to Mr. X and 50% will remain with Mr. Y. Who is the owner? X is the owner. Who is working on this land? Y. So government will support, or this PM Kisan benefit will come to Mr. X account and not to Mr. Y's account, because he is the owner. And the tenant farmers, right, or this Mr. Y, he is the person who is taking all the risk, is in investing in insecticides and tractor and other things. But the benefits will reach to Mr. X. The definition was changed a little bit. It was the criteria was widened, and all those people, if they produce some sort of value from, if they get something out of agriculture in past 365 days, or a minimum cutoff value of 3,000 rupees per year, they were also added. And all those people associated with the allied activities like horticulture or animal husbandry, so they were also added in this definition of farmer, and that is a good thing. But still, we need to work on it, particularly when it comes to this tenant law, so that the benefits reach directly to the needy one or the farmer. And this is a problem here. There are so many other changes that we have recently introduced. Reforming agriculture, agri infrastructure, logistics, and removal of APMC, promotion of ENAM. There are so many things that government has introduced, but we need to redefine farmer. We need to make it a bit more broad and inclusive. And that's everything from my side, dear friends. Thank you very much for watching this video. These are some news items. I want you guys to download the PDF and go through it. And as far as daily financial news analysis is concerned, yesterday we were super busy. I was not able to record or create PPT for that lecture, but today for sure 9th September lecture will be delivered, and I will try my level best for sure to deliver the 10th September, that is today's fresh lecture, to you as quickly as possible. But for sure 9th September lecture is coming out in few hours time. So enjoy your studies till then. I'll see you soon. God bless you all. Jai Hind.